Hi guys, welcome to another video, and in this video I'm going to be dueling against REVRAC, who is currently one of the top gear demon hunters out there. I believe on the D-Progress rankings he's about, in PvP dummy he might be number 1 or so. I'm not sure about hero score and all the other stuff, but he's currently not using that gear against me because, well, he kind of can't, and the reason why he can't use that type of gear against me, the gear that was his top gear, is because he has 30 discipline with that gear, and in DH versus DH, especially against me because I'm a legacy Nats DH, you really need as much discipline as you can get. So he switched out to the new Nat set, as well as a discipline SOJ and a discipline quiver. So I believe he has 75 total when I dueled him. But still, he had, I believe, about 380k DPS or something like that. It was some really retarded number, is enough to describe it. So his HP, I think, is something like 115k, around there when I dueled him. Mine is about 90k, so it's not too bad. I two-shot him, he one-shots me when it comes to crits. So, but I have the upper hand in that I have a chance at being extra sneaky and getting extra free shots off him. So it kind of balances out. It kind of balances itself out. If you notice that, just like in my duel against Scorpion, I'm using Boar, and he's using Boar as well. The reason why we're both using Boar, just exactly with the same explanation as in Scorpion's duel, is that you pretty much need Boar to survive hits, because DH versus DH is kind of fragile, and you can easily one-shot or two-shot each other. So anything that helps, it would be very useful to have. And the Boar actually just takes a whole hit for you. So imagine a crit impale on my Boar. That's an extra life for me in this case. In his case, if I do get a crit impale off, because I two-shot him, he has to use preparation, like no question about it. But if he has a Boar, he pretty much saves one preparation for his HP. So it's very valuable. The cooldown on Boar is like 30 seconds, and if you notice throughout our duel, our Boars are constantly dead because they keep just taking shots for each other, and it's very useful to do it that way. So here he got a really controversial snipe. I don't know how, if you saw that impale, it wasn't directly going for me, but maybe my character was ahead of where my screen was, so that was interesting. But it was a good prediction shot on his part, I think. So it's a 1-1 tie game right now. We're dueling up to 10, by the way. It's a best of 19 duel. The duel first started off with a debate of new Nats versus legacy Nats, and we were kind of like quarreling over which one's better. So it's kind of like an interesting duel between the legacy set versus the new set. I still personally think the legacy set is better, despite, well, we'll see what happens in this duel, but it's a 2-1 for him. He one-shotted me again, damn it. But that's okay, as we're going to see in a second. Alright, so I'm trying to play kind of really passive against this guy, and my general strategy is just to wear him down. Like, I have no chance in a direct confrontation. As you can see, every time I get a crit, I don't get greedy and try to get a second crit, because that's going to get me killed pretty much. But what I do is, instead I get a crit and I use the remaining smokescreen duration time to just run away. And if he chooses to use a preparation, that's great. That's when I know I can be offensive. So here I kind of didn't miss any impales at all. So with kind of good aim, I got him down pretty quickly. So he's not invincible either. He dies in 2 crits, I die in 1, so it's not really a huge gap in my opinion, but anyways, whatever. So I have to be really careful with Hungering Arrow. Even though Hungering Arrow does not one-shot me, the problem is that if Hungering Arrow actually splits, then it's going to kill me, because I can't survive multiple hits. And here he gets another good impale. So it's one of the examples of why you should not directly engage a demon hunter who has the new nat set if you have the old nat set, because they're just going to survive more shots and catch you off guard. So another snipe on him, on his part, and it's 4-2 for him. So he's in the lead. I have to play extra careful now because I kind of got sniped twice quickly there, but so I have to watch out and play a little bit more passive than I used to. I believe he tried to switch his build a little bit. I noticed him using strafe. So he also switched his build a couple of times, just like Scorpion did as well against me. Because, well, there are some things that work better than others, and this is kind of an example of the Hungering Arrow splitting up, because that Hungering Arrow would normally not one-shot me, but because it splits up and it also crits, it just does so much damage, and it's actually capable of one-shotting you. So you gotta watch out. Manor Cookie is complaining in the chat that he got outbidded. He was trying to abuse the server downtime, and he tried to snipe some item, but whatever. Forget about that. Just let's focus on the duel here. So now, if you noticed, he actually switched up his build again, REVRAC. He's using Sentry Turret this time, and Sentry Turret is kind of annoying to deal with because he heals so fast. I believe he's still using Brooding with Sentry Turret, his passive, and that gives him about, like, what, 2.5 or so? 2.5. 2 or 2.5% of his max HP life regen. I think it's 2 actually, but whatever. So here's where we got a message that the server is shutting down in 15 minutes, so we're trying to kind of kill each other quickly, but it's not working out. Like, I can't just engage him without carelessly, without getting owned pretty much. So I'm a bit more aggressive here because I know his preparation is down, and I also know that, yeah, he was low HP, so one more impale would have done it, and that was the impale. So it's 5-3 right now. Server's shutting down in 10 minutes, so we gotta finish our duel somehow and see how it turns out. But that's okay. Neither of us were really in that much of a rush. This kill here is an example of what happens when you make a mistake. It was actually a mistake on his part. I believe he had preparation, but he didn't use preparation in time, and I got two crits straight, like back to back, and he didn't have time to use prep, so happens to the best of us, I guess. I think there was one death for me later on as well, where I had a preparation, but I should have used it, but I actually didn't, which is too bad, I guess. So he knows now that my preparation is down, because he can pretty much tell if I'm under half HP and I don't use my preparation, like if I don't immediately get full HP, then that means something's fishy. It's a cue for you that the guy doesn't have prep yet. So you gotta watch out and use those cues to know when you should be aggressive or not. If you notice, every time I engage him, I just smokescreen before I even fire a shot, because I can't afford to take any hits from this guy. So that's pretty much what I try to do for the remainder of the time. I I really try hard to avoid being vulnerable in that 0.5 second period in between smoke screens, because that's kind of where most demon hunters die, in my opinion. And that's the easiest time to catch someone off guard. And I think most people knew that already anyways, but another good use of Sentry is map control, actually. You know where your opponent is just because... Oh, I killed him there. You know where your opponent is just because the sentry could be shooting in a different direction. So what you could do is you could plant a sentry in like the middle of the map, and even if you're on the other side of the map and you see your sentry is shooting at me, then you know which direction I'm going to come from, and that's pretty important because it also gives you the potential of getting blind impales off, because you don't have to always see your opponent to cast impales, right? You can just cast them in air and hope that it hits, but if you're smart about it, if you use your sentries to scout, you can pretty much have a decent chance of your blind impales actually hitting. And I actually use some things to my advantage that he does too, to do something similar, in that his general strat is to kind of spam Hungering Arrow, but that's, in my opinion, that's a disadvantage, and that's kind of why I like Evasive Fire instead, because Evasive Fire doesn't reveal where you are from a really far distance, right? But Hungering Arrow has such like an annoying sound that you can just hear it from the side of your screen, and not from the side of your screen, but I mean like you can just hear it. You can also hear Evasive Fire, but you can't see the arrows for Evasive Fire, right? It's instant damage, so that's like a major disadvantage of using Hungering Arrow. And you should take advantage of that if your opponents are using Hungering Arrow. Just see where... Oh, crap. That was a nice snipe, though. So it's 6-5 for him. I've kind of been talking more about general tactics and less about the actual game, but it's kind of some tactics that I try to exploit. Just if you see Hungering Arrow come from a certain direction, try to shoot your impale so that you kind of intercept his Hungering Arrow and your... how should I describe this? Try to impale him. Try to impale the source of the Hungering Arrow damage. So if he shoots, if you see an arrow going in a direction towards you, whatever. I give up trying to explain this. It's too hard. Just try to shoot from where he's shooting his Hungering Arrow, even if you don't see him, is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, moving on. It's, I believe, 7-5 at this point, and I think at this point the server is actually shut down and they're back up again, so we're dueling again. So the score was 7-5, I think. I hope I got this right, but notice what I'm doing is I'm actually trying to hug walls as much as possible, and I'm trying to preemptively shoot where he's going to be. Like, if I see him turning a corner and he hasn't yet turned the corner, I'm going to shoot at that corner anyways, right? And if in case he does turn the corner, he's going to get hit, right? That's kind of really important in DH versus DH, especially if you have vision of him and he doesn't have vision of you. A good example of that would be when you are on the bottom side of the screen and he's on the top. And the reason why that's an advantage for you is because he can't see you because of the stupid skill bar. If you see below the skill bar and the health bar and the mana bar, that's actually blocking terrain, and the person who's dueling from below actually has a vision advantage, so you should always try to duel from below. And notice that every single duel against this guy, I'm actually attacking from below. That means I have a vision advantage, and you always want to push your opponent towards the top of the map, because he can't see you and he has to start shooting more blindly than you. So it's actually really important, especially when you're fighting against someone who's capable of one-shotting you, right? So same thing again. I'm dueling him. I'm fighting him from below, and sorry, but this is something you kind of want to avoid. If he had good, like if he had better aim, and in that instance there, he could have killed me. He could have just one-shotted me, but because his prep was on cooldown and he was low HP, I was able to get a snipe there. I forgot what the score was. I didn't see the score there, but whatever. We'll continue on. So notice that even though I'm in smokescreen, he's actually impaling me, and that's a good thing. You want to do that, especially if you have a lot of DPS. And when I get out of smokescreen, I'm going to take lots of damage, so it's very useful to do that kind of stuff. If you see there that every time I'm in smokescreen and he gets an impale off, it's a quarter of my health bar. So 2 of those smokescreen impales, and I pretty much have to use preparation. So you kind of want to watch out for that as well if you're dueling against someone with pretty high DPS, especially if it's a crit bleed. It's pretty insane damage, and it's not dodgeable. One thing, if you noticed throughout the video, that I do is I'm pretty happy when I kill his boar, actually. If I see a boar that's out in the open and he's not there, I'm pretty happy in sniping the boar as well, because not only does it have a 30-second cooldown in recasting, but it dies pretty quickly and it's able to save him. So that means if you just kill the boar, he's left in the open, so it's an easier target. It's very useful, actually. So the score is 7-7 right now, and again, I went for the boar first, and now I have a boar and he doesn't. So I have a recasted boar, which I think he kills. Well, he recasts his, but and if your boar is taking damage, always run away and try to save your boar as well, because it's kind of important. If you see there, my boar got like 2-shotted or something. It's still, yeah, it died. So take care of the boar as well. Try not to let it die carelessly, because it's kind of important. Here I got another kill. It's 8-7 at this point. So it's been really back and forth and pretty close the entire duel, actually. I believe it was 7-5 at one point in his favor, and now it's back to 8-7, so I got 3 kills in a row there, which was pretty fortunate on my part, I think. I'm kind of low on things to say. It's been a long duel. I think the unedited version of this duel was actually something like 35 to 40 minutes, and I shaved it down to 20 minutes because, well, a lot of it is me running running away, and not just running away, but for example, we would engage for a while and then both of us would back off, both of us would wait for our prep cooldown, and you know, we're just kind of playing safe. We don't want to die carelessly. Here he has, I noticed that he does not have preparation right now, so here's my cue to be aggressive, and I'm trying to be aggressive here, and he catches me off guard with Fan of Knives, so that was a nice shot actually. So it's 8-8. So he switched out his regular build. I think he switched out Sentry Turret for Fan of Knives now. So he's been cycling through quite a bit of builds in this duel. And I actually think he's using Tactical Advantage. Up until this point he wasn't using Tactical Advantage, but because he has Fan of Knives, and that was a nice shot on his part again, one-shotted me. Because he has Tactical Advantage, it works nicely with Fan of Knives. He can pretty much catch up to me and cast Fan of Knives as well during the 0.5 second cooldown, like there. But except I'm not like dumb, I guess. I'm not going to just go up close to him and try to snipe him down, because I know that Fan of Knives is going to one-shot me, so I kind of do watch out for that as well. And well, if you're playing against someone that has Fan of Knives, you should too. So we're kind of just firing at each other back and forth. So far it's been a pretty back and forth duel. He's a bit more aggressive now, if you noticed, and he realizes that, okay, he two-shots me and I one-shot him, so I can afford to be a little bit more aggressive. And I think that's actually one of the better counters to Legacy DH, is because many people, oh man, that was a nice hit. So that was a hungering arrow shot that split twice on me and it crit. So Spray of Teeth, when it crits, it does an AoE damage too. So 10-8 was the final score. And good game, REVRAC. Thanks for dueling. If you guys want to see more, feel free to like and sub. And see you guys next time.